Shavua Tov, everybody. A very warm welcome to everyone who's here in person and those joining us online via the live stream from the half-term ski slopes or wherever else in the world you may be, even possibly in London, just not in this room, but you're joining us and we feel your presence. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let's sing Havdalah together, just like the images and video clips that are circulating shortly now after Shabbat of some of the hostages who were released singing Havdalah in the Israeli hospital. We too here will sing and bring music and light into this night.
Baruch
ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Ya na 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 Ya na 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 Borei minei besamim Amen La da 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 Ya ba 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 Ya ha ha Ya na da 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 Ya da 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 Ya da 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 Ya ba ba Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Ya da na 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 Ya ba ba bam 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 Borei ma'orei ha'esh Amen Didiyam ba 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 Ya ba 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 Ya ba 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 Ya ho Ya da 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 Ya da 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 Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil bein kodesh l'chol bein or l'choshech bein Yisrael la'amim bein yom ha'shevi'i sheishes yemei hama'aseh Baruch ata Adonai Ya ba 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 di di da 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 Hamavdil bein kodesh l'chol Amen la da 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 di di da 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 di di da 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 di di da 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 Ya ba 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 Shavua Tov Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu Hatishbi Eliyahu Agiladi B'meheira yavo eleinu Moshiach ben David B'meheira yavo eleinu Moshiach ben David Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu Hatishbi Eliyahu Agiladi B'meheira yavo eleinu Moshiach ben David B'meheira yavo eleinu Moshiach ben David Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu Hatishbi Eliyahu Hagilad Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu Hatishbi Eliyahu Hagiladi B'meheira yavo eleinu Moshiach ben David B'meheira yavo eleinu Moshiach ben David Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu Hatishbi Eliyahu Agilad Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu Hatishbi Eliyahu Agilad Everyone B'meheira yavo eleinu Moshiach ben David B'meheira yavo eleinu Moshiach ben David Moshiach ben David Shavua Tov
Good evening. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Chief Rabbi Mervis, Diane Binstock, Michael Goldstein, President of United Synagogue, Rabbonim, Rebbetzen friends, and members of our wonderful community. Thank you. It's a great honor to welcome you all on this very special occasion, the induction of our new senior rabbi in Rebbetzen, Rabbi Eli Rebbetzen Lauren Levine. Tonight marks the beginning of an exciting new chapter for South Hampstead, a community known for its warmth, inclusivity, and deep commitment to modern Orthodox Jewish values. Rabbi Eli Rebbetzen Lauren truly embody these values. They are part of the DNA of this community, and we're delighted to formally welcome them into their new roles. As they take on this responsibility, we offer them our blessings for wisdom, strength, and guidance. We know they will lead with warmth, sensitivity, and vision. As a community, we are committed to standing by them, working together to build a strong and thriving future for South Hampstead. Remarkably, the last formal induction of a minister at South Hampstead took place over 62 years ago, when Chief Rabbi Israel Brody inducted Reverend Freddie Brozer. Following Reverend Brozer's departure in 1984, the community appointed Rabbi Shlomo and Rebbetzen Lindy on a one-year temporary contract, one that eventually stretched to over 40 years, which is perhaps why they were never formally inducted here. We are honored to have Rabbi Shlomo and Rebbetzen Lindy with us this evening. Their dedication and leadership have shaped our community in countless ways. We will always be profoundly grateful for their many years of inspiration and guidance. As they pass on the baton, we're delighted that they will continue to be part of our community in their emeritus roles. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my Vice Chair, Joy Cohen, along with Tamara, Caroline, Harvey and Melissa in the Shul office, Lorenzo, Stanley and Dell in our caretaking team, and our youth directors, Adam, Jojo and Miri, all of whom have been involved in organising this evening's event. As we come together in celebration, our hearts are also with our brothers and sisters in Israel during this deeply painful time for our people. Before we turn to the rest of the evening's proceedings, we will now recite prayers for our extended family in Israel. Please be upstanding. Am Yisrael Chai.
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Shir Lamalot Esa Eina El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim V'haaretz Ani ten lamot raglecha al yamot שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה ישראל הנתונים בצרה ובשביה העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה המקום ירחם עליהם ויוציאם מצרה לרווחה ומאפן ליורה ומשיבוד לגאולה השתה בגלה ובזמן קריב המקום ירחם עליהם ויוציאם מצרה לרווחה ומאפן ליורה ומשיבוד לגאולה השתה בגלה ובזמן קריב ונאמר
Chadesh Amenu Kekedem. As is the style at Southampton, we are blending the old with the new by having some of our young people read 5 verses from the Southampton induction of 1962.
Im Adonai lo yivneh, vayet shav amlu vonav, bo im Adonai lo yishmor, shav shakat shomeh.
Unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain on it. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman keeps vigil in vain.
B'ni, Torati al tishkach, u'mitzvotai yotzeh libecha. Ki orech yamim, v'shanot chayim, v'shalom yosifu lach. Chesed ve'emet, al yazvucha. Kashrem al gargotecha, katfem al luach libecha.
My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your mind retain my commandments, for they will bestow on you length of days, years of life, and well-being. Let kindness and truth not leave you. Bind them about your throat. Write them on the tablet of your mind.
Chachmot banta veita, chatzva amudeh hashiva. Tichilat chochma yirat Adonai, v'da'at kadoshim bina.
Wisdom has built her house, she has hewn her 7 pillars. The beginning of wisdom is the Lord, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding.
Gadol yehiyeh
כבוד הבית הזה האחרון מן הראשון אמר אדוני צבאות ובמקום הזה אתן שלום נאום אדוני צבאות.
The glory of this latter house shall be greater than that of the former one, said God of hosts, and in this place I will grant prosperity, declares God of hosts.
Vayehi Noam Adonai Eloheinu Aleinu. Maaseh Yadeinu Korana Aleinu. Maaseh Yadeinu Koranehu.
May the favor of the Lord our God be upon us. Let the work of our hands prosper. O prosper the work of our hands.
Continuing the theme of blending the old with the new, it is an honor to invite my grandparents, Rabbi Shlomo and Rebbetzen Lindy, to light candles they will pass to my parents with a blessing for the future.
Eli and Lauren, you are now the keepers of the faith.
יברכך השם וישמרך יאר השם פניו אליך ויחונך יישא השם פניו אליך ויעשה לך יברכך השם וישמרך יאר השם פניו אליך ויחונך יישא השם פניו אליך ויעשה לך שלום.
Please now stand and give a warm welcome to the Chief Rabbi.
Drinai la ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 Drinai la ya la 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 Drinai ra 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 ai la ya la 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 Drinai la ya la 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 Drinai la 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 la
Dein Binstock, rabbis, Rebbetzins, Michael Goldstein, president of the United Synagogue, Danny Kay and his leadership team, ladies and gentlemen. In the Hallel Psalms we declare, Even ma'asu habonim hayatal l'rosh pinah. The stone that the builders have rejected has become a cornerstone. Me'et Hashem haytazot iniflat beinenu. This has come from the Almighty, it is wondrous in our eyes, and therefore, Zeh hayom masah Hashem, nagila v'nismechavo. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will be glad and rejoice thereon. What do we mean when we say Even ma'asu habonim, a stone that the builders have rejected? Many of our commentators point out that this represents Jewish history. Because time and time again there are those who seek to build a civilization which rejects Jews and Judaism, and they do not want us to play a part within it. They denigrate us, they persecute us, they strive to annihilate us. But as we read in the Haggadah of Pesach, Shebechol Dor Vadorom Dimaleinu L'Chalotenu, even though from generation to generation there are those who seek to destroy the Jewish people, V'Akadosh Baruch Hu Matzilenu Me'adam, Almighty God always saves us from their hands. Sadly and tragically, we are living through a period in which once again we are facing an enemy which seeks to destroy us. However, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Matzilenu Mi'adam, even though in their eyes we are the stone to be rejected from the building, the world which they want to inspire to exist, Am Yisrael Chai. And you know, today there is so much reason to rejoice with hostages who have returned back home to the embrace of their families, and yet our hearts are heavy and we're filled with heartbreak over recent events and our concern for the future. However, despite all that, Hayata l'rosh pinah. We're proud of the Jewish people, we're proud of Medinat Yisrael, and we are a light unto the nations, a cornerstone of the societies within which we live, shedding the light of the Almighty amongst all in our midst. The Baalei HaTosfot give a fascinating perush on the word Even, the stone, and they say as follows. A stone is a composite term. It is made up of two words, Av and Ben, father and son. In the same way as a stone is indestructible in the face of natural elements, so too Judaism continues to exist when we see parents handing over tradition faithfully to their children. And tonight, we are all here to witness a historic event. Yes, it's historic. I'm not aware of any previous occasion on which the reins of spiritual leadership are being passed down within one United Synagogue shul from one rabbi in Rebbetzin through to their children. And let me just add a word about Julian and Margot Lou, who are Rebbetzen Lauren's parents, who are an extraordinary couple. And they too have been exemplary role models for their wonderful family and for so many others. So tonight, we see from Av to Ben, from parents to children, a most wonderful example of Judaism at its finest. Hayata l'rosh pinah, the cornerstone. That is what I believe Rabbi Shlomo and Rebbetzen Lindy have been for over 40 years. They have taken and carried this congregation upon their shoulders. A few months ago, the Rabbinical Council of the United Synagogue paid tribute to Rabbi Shlomo and Rebbetzen Lindy, And I'd like to repeat a thought that I mentioned then. Being chief rabbi, I have the privilege and the enormous joy of visiting numerous shuls right around the country. I've been to the vast majority of them all. And I have a personal system of ratings of shuls. I've kept it quiet. But now I'm starting to talk about it. But actually, for me, the most important element of a great shul is how comfortable the women feel sitting within it. And when shuls now intend to build a new edifice, I send them here to South Hampstead, because you know what inclusion really means. But then it's important for everybody in shul to feel comfortable. I notice many shuls, probably the majority, in which the congregation sits in economy and the honorary officers and the rabbi sit in business. There are some shuls where the members are very lucky, the congregation sits in business, and the honorary officers and the rabbi sit in first. Here at South Hampstead, every single person sits in first. So if that's the case, where's the rabbi? Where's the traditional rabbi seat? It doesn't appear here. It's not part of this shul. And I'll tell you the reason why. In this shul, the rabbi sits in the cockpit. That is how it has been through the tenure of Rabbi Shlomo and Rebbetzen Lindy, saying to the community, Achareinu, follow us, our teachings, our example. They have led from the front, and you have all followed. And as a result, you have prospered as individuals, as families, and as this great community. And now, as they are handing over the torch of leadership in a formal capacity to Rabbi Eli Rebbetzen Lauren, once again, please God, you will have a rabbi and Rebbetzen who lead from the front. Now, it's very difficult for a shul to appoint a successful rabbi and Rebbetzen. I often compare it to a shidduch. It has to work, but there are so many difficulties. Let me share with you a story about two young friends. And one said to the other, how is it that you're not yet married? You're so eligible. You're wonderful. How come have you not yet found your beshert? And he said, the problem is the Friday night. So the friend said, what do you mean the Friday night? He says, well, what happens time and time again is I meet a young lady, she's lovely, we go out together after a certain while, we're ready for me to bring her home on Friday night. My mother cooks a delicious meal. Everybody enjoys it. It's fantastic. And as soon as the young lady has left the house and the front door closes, my mother goes like this to me, and she says, not good enough for you, my boy. So the friend said, I've got an idea for you. Why don't you find a young lady who's just like your mother? Surely she will like her. So after about half a year, he was introduced to a lovely young lady, looked a bit like his mother, spoke a bit like his mother, had similar views and opinions to those of his mother. After 3 months, it was going brilliantly, and he was ready for the Friday night. After the weekend, his friend bumped into him, and he said, "Nu, how did it go?" He said, "Ois shidduch." The friend said, "What do you mean, ois shidduch?" He said, "Yeah, it's all over. That's it." The friend said, "Didn't your mother like her?" He answered, "My mother loved her." So he said, "So what was the problem?" He answered, "My father didn't like her." So with a regular shidduch, when you just have a few people to please, it's really difficult. What happens when you've got hundreds of people to please? When everybody's got their own opinion about their rabbi and their rebbetzin. This shul has now hit the jackpot twice in a row. Firstly, enjoying a most extraordinary shidduch with Rabbi Shlomo and Rebbetzen Lindy, and now having the makings for another glorious, amazing relationship. And therefore, for me, it is such an enormous pleasure and privilege to officiate at this induction. And I would now like to share with you what I believe are the 4 key ingredients of successful Jewish religious leadership. The first is you need to go for gold. What do I mean? Raise the bar. Be courageous. Be ambitious. Guarantee that you will always be able to be in a position to achieve an extraordinary amount. You know, the Gemara in Masechet Pesachim Daf Mem Tet Amud Aleph talks about a successful shidduch. And how do they describe it? Inve hagefen be'inve hagefen. When you have the grapes of a vine intertwined with the grapes of a vine. And that, of course, applies to a bride and a groom, but it also applies to successive rabbis. And of course, we have a most glorious, amazing relationship between the 2 Levine couples. And they are both inve hagefen, grapes of the vine. What's the perush? We can learn about this from the laws of blessings. What blessing do we recite over a fruit? We all know the answer, Borei Priya Eitz. But what blessing do you recite over fruit juice? That is amazing. Wow, let's give her a clap. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, you want to carry on? You can take. Okay. So why is the blessing of orange juice shehakol? Well, you see, there is a weakening of importance because there's a journey from being part of a fruit, and now it's only the fruit juice. So therefore, the blessing enters into the general bracha of shehakol. But there is one exception, one fruit juice which hasn't got shehakol, and that is grape juice, which is wine. Not only is the bracha not shehakol, but it is borei pri hagafen. So therefore, with regard to grape juice, wine, we see an elevation of standards. We see a going for gold scenario, where we're always striving to raise that bar and to reach greater levels of attainment. That is what Rabbi Eli and Rebbetzen Lauren want to achieve in this community, and they are so blessed to have a community that wants to grow and develop together with them, a community that welcomes inspiration. Congratulations to Danny Kay and his team and successive teams of leadership who have been partners of the Rabbi and Rebbetzen here at South Hampstead, as a result of which you've got a whole community dedicated to going for gold. And then the second ingredient of successful Jewish leadership, that is follow through. It's not good enough just to have a great event, a wonderful service. There needs to be follow through. What are the first words we utter when we come into a shul? It's the verse from Parshat Balak. Ma tovu alecha Yaakov mishknotecha Yisrael, that blessing of Bilam, the heathen prophet. How wonderful are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. And our sages explain the tent represents the Jewish home, the dwelling places, our houses of prayer. And notice that Bilam mentioned the home before the shul. And that is because the way in which we live our Judaism at home is the essence of Jewish life within any Jewish community. And the ultimate test of the success of a rabbi and a rebbetzin is not what happens here in this building, but rather the extent to which what people experience in this building is then translated into Jewish living within their homes. And please God, through everything that Rabbi Eli and Rebbetzen Lauren succeed here in South Hampstead, may it indeed be translated into beautiful, uplifting life and the enhancement not just of Yiddishkeit, but of Menschlichkeit in all manners within your homes. The third symbol of excellence is the extent to which people feel personally committed. We read recently of how the waters of the Red Sea miraculously parted. Vayaminu b'Hashem u'v'Moshe avdo. As a result, the nation believed in God and in Moses, his servant. And what did they exclaim and say? Ze keli ve'anvehu Elokei aviv aromamenhu. This is my God, and I will glorify him, the God of my father. And I will be dedicated to him. And notice the order. First, they saw Hashem as Ze keli, my God. And afterwards, Elokei avi, the God of my parents. There are many people in many communities around the world whose allegiance to Judaism is an allegiance through parents and grandparents. Why do they come to Shul? Why are they part of Jewish life? It's out of respect for what has come before. To what degree do they personally feel something? That's a different question. And the aim of a rabbi and a rebbetzin is to guarantee that every single individual participates, takes a part in community life, shows allegiance to people and to our Jewish future, because Ze keli, I feel a personal connection. If I don't come to Shul, I'll be personally missing out. And that is the way of life that you have here at South Hampstead, because your rabbi and rebbetzin want you to feel a personal connection and not just to be attached to your Judaism out of respect. In the book of Joshua, we're told how the Ark of the Covenant traveled. And when that happened, the Ark was always 2,000 cubits ahead of the people. There was a gap of 3,000 feet, and you should say, surely it would have been far more respectful had the nation encircled the Ark in order to accompany it. That's how you give kavod, respect. Instead, they were way back and they were spread out horizontally. And the reason for this is that if the ark would have been encircled, very few people would see it. And those at the back would have to rely on the evidence given to them by those who were close and who saw it. Instead, our tradition demands that every single individual should see the ark, should see our tradition, should be in touch with our faith and feel a personal connection to it. V'hi ratzon, may it be the will of Hashem, that through Rabbi Eli and Rebbetzen Lauren, every single one of you will continuously feel and experience that personal connection. And finally, in order to be a good leader, you need to be a mensch. In today's Parsha of Mishpatim, we're given a mitzvah, V'anshe kodesh tiyun li. You must be holy people before me, says Hashem. And the Kotzker Rebbe asked, surely the Torah should have just said, Kedoshim to you, be holy. Why the Anshe Kodesh? People who are holy. And he explains we need to be Anshe, Menschen. If you behave in a Menshetic way, that is what Kedusha is. And you are blessed to have in Rabbi Eli and Rebbetzen Lauren such Menshetic people, sweet-natured, genuine friends of everybody, really sincerely interested in every single person and their welfare, not because it's their job, but because they passionately feel it. And they're so decent, and because they love us all, everybody loves them. And through them, there is Kedusha. And they are here to inspire every one of you, likewise, to behave in a Menshetic way, to love everybody, to reach out with compassion and kindness and generosity, as a result of which we will increase the holiness that exists in the world. So you're so blessed to have an amazing new rabbi and rebbetzin following through from their predecessors. And as a result, at this historic moment, we can indeed exclaim, Me'et Hashem ha'etazot hi niflat beinenu. This is from Hashem. This is not an ordinary event. This is not something simple. The South Hampstead community is so privileged to be part of this handover. He niflat beinenu, it's wondrous in our eyes. And consequently, Zeh hayom asa Hashem, nagila v'nismecha bo. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will be glad and rejoice thereon. It is now my enormous pleasure and privilege to invite Rabbi Eli Levine to recite his induction prayer. Please stand.
Avada de kutsha berichu, disigina kame, umekame de kara raise, didiyam didida didida da da dam, da ya da 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 dam, didida didida da 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 dam, da ya da 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 dam. Ano avda the kushabaricho. This agid no kame makame the karai sabachol idon heidan. La an shuchisa. Wala balon samichna. Ela bela hat ishmaya dehu la hakashait. Vai raisa kashait and vai kashait. Maskele me batava kashait. Me anarachis. Veli shemei kadisha. Yakira Anoi Mar Tushbecha Yerava Kadama Tesiftach Libi Beyaira Isa Vishtashlim Nishalin Deli Liba de Chalama Yisrael Letavu lechayin velishlam. Amen. I am a servant of the Holy One. Blessed be he before whom and before whose glorious Torah I bow at all times. Not in man do I trust, nor on any angel do I rely, but on the God of heaven, who is the God of truth, whose Torah is truth, whose prophets speak truth, and who abounds in acts of love and truth. In him I trust, and to his holy and glorious name I offer praises. May it be your will to open my heart to the Torah and to fulfill the wishes of my heart and of the hearts of all your people Israel, for good, for life, and for peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard Rabbi Eli speak often, but now I have the enormous pleasure and privilege to invite him to address you for the very first time as your newly inducted senior rabbi. Mazel tov.
Ay, la, yo, oh, 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 ya, ya, ya. Oh, 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 ya, ya, ya. Ya, la, la, ya, la, la, ya, la, la, la. Ya, la, la, ya, la, la. Ya, ya, ya. Yo, oh, 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 ya, ya, ya. Oh, 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 ya, ya, ya. La, 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 ya, la, la, ya, la, la, la. La, 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 ya, la, la. Ay, ya, ya.
Thank you, Chief Rabbi, for those very, very gracious words and for all the guidance and support you give to South Hampstead and to Lauren and I and our family. We not only benefit and gain so much from our conversations with you, we actually enjoy them too. You're just a very warm, approachable Chief Rabbi, and we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And a big mazel tov to you and Valerie on the smachot in your family. Thank you for traveling back from the celebrations in Israel to get here just in time tonight. By just in time, the flight was before Shabbat. Quick point of clarification. And what a schlep with the detour via Paris. I'm sorry, we should have told you about the live stream option. But thank you for being here in person. And please God, those smachot should continue. And you should always, you, Valerie, and all your family, have lots of nachas and only besurot tovat. We really appreciate so deeply the friendship, support, guidance, and inspiration we gain from all those who work with us and are there to help lead us and show us the way. Dain Geli, Dain Binstock, countless questions I've sent your way, Dain Binstock, and all the Dayanim. To our rabbinic colleagues from everywhere across the United Synagogue, RCUS, and to all my friends, all the Rabbanim and the Rebbetzins in the different communities, and particularly here this evening, represented from St. John's Wood, from the Spanish and Portuguese Sephardi community, from Chabad of Camden Town, and all our neighbors. We really appreciate the Chavashaft of our rabbinic colleagues, to the president, trustees, CEO, COO, and the whole team at the United Synagogue. Thank you for being there. Thank you for working with us. To the team at Tribe, all my years working with Tribe, that kept me young and in touch with young people. Our family, our children, my parents, parents-in-law, siblings, and extended family, and our South Hampstead community, every person who contributes in their own way, and the amazingly dedicated team who work alongside us, everyone on that team, rabbinic, lay leadership, youth, office, facilities, cheder, and nursery. You're all like family to us. Thank you so, so much. And we're particularly grateful to Danny, Joy, David, and everyone who was involved in the selection process for navigating this next chapter of our community with such sensitivity and integrity. Thank you for sharing with us, for painting the picture of a vision that Lauren and I and our children knew we had to be part of. As a toddler, I learnt to negotiate stairs on the bimmer in the old shul. And it's thanks to everyone back then who, when I tripped over and cried during laning, or even maybe during a sermon, I'm sorry, it didn't shush me out of the room. That's the mark of a shul, where they can hear a child cry and keep them in. And for all those who over the years have encouraged me, embraced me, and empowered me to stand on my own feet and to contribute to the positive noise of South Hampstead. It is thanks to all of you that a child of this community now humbly becomes its rabbi. A few months ago, it happened to be Erev Sukkot. Our family Sky Mobile account went down. Terrible timing, especially as I was in Kosher Kingdom trying to get hold of Lauren about those last bits of Erev Yom Tov shopping. And you know how Erev Sukkot can be a bit of a chaotic day. I had just about secured this chach in the sukkah when eventually I got hold of Sky customer service. He says to me, "What's the account name, please?" I said, "Eli Levine." "Sorry, sir, I can't find you." I said, "How about Eli Levin?" Still nothing doing. I'm getting a bit desperate at this point. I say, "Okay, how about trying Eliyahu? It must be Eliyahu Levine or Eliyahu Levin." And just then, our daughter Rachel Emuna, who I thought was doing her own thing, but was of course completely tuned into the conversation as the chief rabbi recently experienced. She was listening in as this conversation was going on my phone on loudspeaker. She leans over towards the phone and in a loud, clear voice, she says, "Eliyahu ben Harav Shloimeh Halevi." And the customer service agent says, "Thank you for passing security." It was, you're clapping, Rachel Emona, hey? It was one of those moments when I realized that I will forever be the child of my parents. Mum and Tat, it has been a distinct blessing in my life to watch you in action, to see what you say and what you don't say, and how you approach everything with determination, courage, creativity, love, discipline, wisdom, and humor. And Be'ezrat Hashem, now as we move forward, I will continue to draw from the well springs that you have created. And please, God, may you together with Margot and Julian, be blessed with good health and the passion to continue being alongside us for many years to come. In fact, as I was thinking about the ceremony this evening and how it's framed around Havdalah, it occurred to me that most blessings are about the present. With Shehechianu, we thank God for bringing us to a specific moment. With Kiddush, we welcome the arrival of Shabbat. Havdalah is also focused on the present, but it expresses this in relation to the past. The wine represents the sanctity of Shabbat and contrasts how that sacred space behind us is so very different to the rest of the week ahead. The spices revive our spirit because as Shabbat faded away behind us, we lost a dimension of our spirituality. And the candle demonstrates that on that Shabbat, now in the past, we couldn't operate fire or electricity. But at the same time, the candle ignites a flame for the days in that coming week ahead. And therefore, uniquely, Havdalah weaves together the past with the present. And for Lauren and I, it is the blessing which symbolizes the three pillars of our leadership that are so deeply rooted in the past and history of this community, but renewed and re-energized for the present and future. Pillar number 1 is the sanctity symbolized by the Havdalah wine. People connect to community, a shul community, in so many different ways: prayer, education, welfare, social, cultural. This space can never just be a building that happens to house these functions, but a place which breathes life into them in a pulsating and transformative way, so that when a person walks in to South Hampstead, they leave feeling different. Something needs to happen. One of our members in the hospitality industry once told me that he is obsessed with his guests' experience. He runs hotels. We too are obsessed with the experience of every person who engages with us. Not in a burdensome way, not that kind of obsession, but with a sense of responsibility to ensure that when people encounter South Hampstead, it's not left to chance, but a given. That just like the sacred feeling of holding this cup of Havdalah wine, spilling over with blessing, each person, amen, will discover their space of sanctity and blessing here, which unlocks their inner selves, that inner being, to connect in a far better and deeper way with ourselves, with each other, and with God. That is pillar number 1. It's about sanctity. Pillar number 2 is the fragrance, symbolized by the spices. South Hampstead is a place of diversity, creativity, and unity. And this is what the spices symbolize, because we are proudly a community of mixed spices. People who come from different places, who do different things. But remarkably, thank God, harmoniously, we create an enchanting scent of Jewish life, rich with meaning, with connection, with music, with fun, and even always a Purim spiel that's a little out of the box and off the wall. We are not a community where one size fits all. We are a community of mixed spices. The creativity, the diversity, and the unity. That is pillar number 2. And pillar number 3 is the candle, which symbolizes that just like the wicks of this Havdalah candle, we are bound together, always there for each other. And the light of this candle, as it was lit during Havdalah, is the light that we come here to seek, the light that we come here to share with each other, with Israel, with Am Yisrael, and as an Or Lagoyim. That light which we know we have a responsibility to radiate beyond the walls of our shul, and we so actively try to reflect in the wider Camden community through interfaith, education, and social responsibility. That is the candle being together and the light that we shine for one another and way beyond. But you know, the overarching theme of Havdalah is actually in the name itself. Havdalah, which means to distinguish. Some people like to say to separate. I prefer to think of it as something of a distinction, something that we make a distinction about to distinguish it one from the other. When we call out, when we have that chorus in Havdalah, we chant, La Yehudim Hosa'ora. For the Jewish people there was light. V'simcha v'sasam v'yikar. Joy, gladness, and honor. We evoke those same words that appear in Megillat Esther, which we'll read on Purim in just a few weeks. Of course, this morning, having blessed the new month of Adar, which is coming up on Friday and next Shabbat. Rav Soloveitchik commented that some distinctions are easier than others. And he bases this on the fact that the Talmud, in the tractate of Megillah, says, Ora zu Torah. The light in the verse, La Yehudim Hota Ora, there is light for the Jewish people, is the light of Torah, the light of our value system. Says Rav Soloveitchik, when we get towards the end of Havdalah, and we're asked to make a distinction, Ben Or LeChoshech, between light and dark, that's pretty straightforward. Even an animal can tell the difference between light and dark. Ben Yisrael La'amim, the difference between the rules and the lifestyle of Jews compared to other people, that's also pretty obvious for us to notice. Ben Yom HaShavi'i, the Sheshet Yemei HaMaaseh, between the 7th day of Shabbat and all the other days of the week, also not so difficult to make that distinction. But Havdalah ends with the words Hamavdil ben Kodesh l'chol, to distinguish between Kodesh, that which is holy, and Chol, that which is mundane. This, says Rav Soloveitchik, takes work. To understand where the fine line is between Kodesh, holiness, and what falls outside of holiness. To understand the values of our light, of our Orah, Zu Torah. To have inculcated within ourselves and the next generation the values of Torah in a way that they are relevant for us and in a way that we can carry them out into the world. That takes education, that takes experience, and that takes building communities which are determined to live the Orah, to live the values of Torah in a way which is meaningful and in a way that spreads through us to so many others. And so when we reflect on these 3 symbols of Havdalah, the wine, the spices, and the candle, and when we think about the word Havdalah itself, it actually gives us the opportunity every Motzei Shabbat, not just to physically make Havdalah, but to live Havdalah. And that is the call of the hour. That is the call to action of this time. We are launching the Havdalah era of South Hampstead, where we can determine the distinction and where we can make a difference. I couldn't finish without telling you a lovely story from Henry Noble of blessed memory, who one day saw his friend Moshe looking so miserable. He said, Moshe, what's the long face all about? And Moshe says, it's terrible, Henry, really, really terrible. I can't sell my car. It's done 178,000 miles, no one's interested. Henry says, Moshe, stop being such a schlemazel. Do what everyone else does. What's that? Asked Moshe. Turn the clock back. Turn the mileage clock. Thank you, thank you. Moshe goes on his merry way, and 2 weeks later, Henry bumps into him again. He says, no, Moshe, did you sell the car? And Moshe says to Henry, don't be ridiculous. It's only done 5,000 miles. Team South Hampstead. Lauren and I, together with all of you, with this call to action of Havdalah, we are driving the same car of the last 40 years. It's heading in the same direction, with the same principles, with the same fuel or electricity of what makes community. But we are turning the clock back in a legal way, with fresh ideas, with a new approach, and with reinvigorated commitment. And we hope and pray that you will travel with us. Please come along together as one big, loving family community on this journey together. And may it truly, please God, be an Asiyah Tova. Thank you. Thank you, and please keep those hands warm for Rebbetzen Lauren.
Oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Ya la la, ya la la, ya la la la. Ya la la, ya la la, ya la la. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Da da da, ya la la, ya la la. Da da da, ya la la, ya 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 ya.
Down Binstock, Rabbanim, President and Trustees of the United Synagogue, the Shul Executive, Lindy and Shlomo, Avi Murray, Imi Marati, and our amazing Southampton community. Shavua Tov, there are some fascinating customs on Motzei Shabbat. So I thought that we could capitalize on the electric atmosphere this evening and put one of the ancient customs to the test. In the 13th century work, The Tur, cites a custom that not only did people used to sing about Elijah the prophet, as we did earlier on Saturday night, but they would make a point of going over every single citation about Elijah the prophet from the Tanakh. Alas, we may not have time for all of that. But at least let's learn one story about the elusive prophet, which resonates deeply with me this evening. This story is one of just a few before Elijah takes central stage as a national character. He'll be taking on the monarchy and leading the people from the front. And as such, this story, this encounter is his training ground. And it's a story that's all about leadership and community. So, we pick up in the book of Kings, chapter 17, We're in around the 8th century BC in the northern kingdom of Israel. It's in the middle of a drought that Elijah has declared, and he is living as a fugitive, literally being sustained by ravens. But then, even that ravine dries up. And so God comes to Elijah, and he says to him, "Kum lech, get up, and I want you to travel. Travel up past the northern border of Israel to the land of Sidon, and there's a place there called Sarfat, and there's a woman there who I've designated. She is now going to be the one to sustain you." So Elijah makes the journey, and he goes, and indeed he sees a woman chopping wood. And he realizes this is the woman that God singled out for him. So he says to her, "Please, would you mind getting me a drink?" And she says, "Okay." And then as she's getting the drink, he says, "Could you also bring me some bread?" And her answer to him is devastating. Her flour supply is at its end. And she says to him, "Hineni mekosheshet eitzim." I have come out here to chop 2 pieces of wood that I am then going to go home and prepare my last meal. And me and my son will eat, and then we will die. So Elijah, first of all, says to her, "Al tiri, don't worry, it's going to be all right." And then he asks her to divide her supplies 3 ways, to include him. But he says to her, there will be a miracle. He says, "Kad hakemach lo tichla." I promise you that that pot of flour that you say you're at your last part, it will not run dry. V'tzapachat hashemen lo techsar, and the jug of oil will not run out. It will self-replenish. And indeed, that's what happens. And from this miracle, the 3 of them live through the famine. So this is a curious story. But for now, just 3 questions. The first about the location. Elijah is a real prophet of Israel. All his prophecies are going to be in the land of Israel. He's going to be traveling from place to place. So why send him past the most northern border to find food? God could have chosen anyone. And then that's the second question. Why choose an anonymous woman? Not only is she all the way up in the north, but also she has such limited resources herself. And third of all, what is the symbolism behind this self-replenishing flour and oil? And how does this set a model for us about community? So let's start with the location. God makes Elijah travel to Sarfat, which is technically outside the borders of Israel. And to my mind, it's significant. His role, which will be to strengthen Israel, will be fueled by his experience having ventured out of it. It sends a message that Israel and the diaspora are not parallel entities, but they are 2 sides of the same coin. Here at South Hampstead, Israel is at the heart of who we are as a community. We are driven by a mission to feel that we are Am Echad B'Lev Echad, one nation with one heart, and to work harder than ever on forging links to strengthen our connection with our brothers and sisters in Israel. Of course, tonight, our prayers are as ever for the return of all the hostages, safe and well, comfort for all those that are bereaved, healing for the injured, and the safety and well-being of everyone. And now the question of why pick our anonymous sustainer who had so little herself to give? Well, God doesn't want Elijah to be sustained anymore by ravens. Elijah needs to meet and live with real human beings who are also suffering from the drought. Until he sees individual human experience head on and deeply feels that every individual is a universe, he will not understand nationhood. We are the sum of the parts. Community is made by every unique individual that participates. But why this woman? So maybe God chose a woman with limited resources to be Elijah's sustainer, because despite the little she had, she shared it with him. She made the bread for him. In this week's Parsha coming up, Parshat Terumah, which describes the building of the Mishkan, which is the ultimate community building project. When it talks about all the people participating, it uses the term Nedivei Lev, people who are driven by their heart. Love, passion, and dedication is the heartbeat of this community. And we see that from the story with Elijah. And I've seen that since my birth, through my parents who've led by example, always active in community life, encouraging my sister and I to do the same. I treasure their wise counsel and support more than words can express. Ultimately, community is about a reciprocal relationship. Elijah and his savior became interdependent. Both he and her are integral to generating their sustenance. And it's this relationship that really makes community tick. And then we come to the symbolism of the replenishing flour and oil. Once community bonds are established, we become a source of constant strength for each other. This place serves as that self-replenishing flour and oil. I take great inspiration from the writings of both my great-grandfather and my grandfather, who both served as rabbis in the United Synagogue. My great Zayda, Rabbi Yosef Yisrael Lu, made sure to publish his book, Yalkut Yosef, in Yiddish, in the Mama Lashon, because he wrote explicitly that this was the language through which people would be strengthened. He wanted it to be that source of replenishment. And my grandfather, in his induction address in 1947, dedicated it entirely to talking and exploring that relationship between spiritual leadership and community. B'yamim hahem b'zman hazeh, in their days, and so too today. My hope is that South Hampstead is a place that whether you're here for babyish daycare, bridge, volunteering, education, services, or you're in for the whole whack, it is an access point to always come out strengthened and invigorated, ready to face a sometimes dark and chaotic world. And now a postscript, if I may. That to me, reading this story of Elijah, he's such a lone warrior. All he has is the ravens and the anonymous women to help him. Ani notenet hodaya al chalki. I'm so thankful. As Eli said, we are so grateful to be part of a wondrous team here at the shul. Working with Lindy and Shlomo is a blessing and a privilege. And Team Levine, our children, our Bechara, Rachel Amuna, Chani, Yitzhak and Hillel, each one of you contributes so much to the engine room. And we just want to take this opportunity tonight to say thank you. And from Tati and I to give you a blessing. That with all you do as well for the community, Yihi Ratzon Shetishra Shechina, B'Maaseh Yedeichem Tamid. So in conclusion, community, kehillah, is a pretty loaded and phenomenal term. Tonight's not Eli and my celebration. It is ours together. So l'chaim to the journey ahead. Please God, filled with blessing, with health, strength, and peace. And for that reason, we're going to conclude with a special blessing for the community that you'll find at the back of the booklets. This is a prayer that's traditionally said on Friday night, often over the lighting of the candles. And the words seem so apt to close with them now.
A blessing from us to you, heart to heart. V'zakeini legader banim uvnei vanim hachamim ulevonim Oy Avei Hashem Yirei Elokim Anshe Emet Zera Kodesh B'Hashem Dveikim V'zakeini legader banim uvnei vanim Chachamim ulevonim Oy Avei Hashem Yirei Elokim Anshe Emet Zera Kodesh B'Hashem Dveikim Meirim es ha'olam V'atorov ma'asim tovim Uv'chol melechet avodat haboreh Meirim es ha'olam V'atorov ma'asim tovim Uv'chol melechet avodat haboreh La 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 May we always sing the music of life together.
Mazel tov! I simmen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simmen tov, mazel tov, simmen tov. Oh, mazel tov, simmen tov, yehelanu. Simmen tov, mazel tov, simmen tov, mazel tov, simmen tov. Oh, mazel tov, simmen tov, yehelanu. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Hay David melech Yisrael, chai v'kayam. David melech Yisrael, chai v'kayam. Simmen tov, mazel tov, simmen tov. Mazel tov, simmen tov, mazel tov, simmen tov, yehelanu. Simmen tov, mazel tov, simmen tov, mazel tov, simmen tov. Mazel tov, simmen tov, yehelanu. All together, yehel. Ay, ay, yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Zu she'arim rosheichem, v'inasu piskei hayla, v'yom b'melech hakavod, hakavod zela. Yayla, yayla, שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. מזל טוב, מזל טוב.
Thank you, Eli Tamir, Leib Roberts, John T. Everyone is invited down into the hall for a l'chaim with fish and chips. Come say l'chaim and the music will continue there. Thank you, everybody. Mike Kelly, thank you for streaming this to the world. Galaxy Video. Thank you, everyone online and here. Shavua Tov.